Hi everyone. This is what happened to me when I got government housing part 91. This video is going to be really hard to do because I have to talk about stuff that's really hard to describe. And it's also hard to talk about because I have to talk about how badly I was treated by some public servants in Victoria, which is pretty painful for me because it's been going on for so long. And I have so much to say, and because there's so much to say, it's hard to talk about, and it just goes on, and I don't even know where to start because it's so bad. But anyway, we're up to the 21st of the 12th, 2017, and although this date was close to Christmas, I wasn't making any plans for Christmas, and we know I wasn't going on holiday because I couldn't afford it. But I was still dealing with the reality of everything that happened to me. And what I've tried to convey in this series is that it wasn't just the events that affected me, it was the accumulation of events. For example, you have to understand that after spending all that money on administrative costs and on washing my clothes and on a holiday that someone in my position couldn't really afford, I was in poverty and in debt. Not because of one expense, but because of the accumulation of expenses that just went on, expense after expense. And that was allowed to carry on for so long because I was forced to keep going back to court for years without getting any compensation for the expenses that I incurred. I was being poverty shamed and judged for my position in life. And I was also expected to pay for expenses that other people didn't have to pay. And in this video, I'll tell you about an incident that demonstrates this. A while before the 21st of the 12th, 2017, I had put in a maintenance request to the Department of Housing to get my front door fixed. And even though it was important for my safety to have a secure door, they didn't treat it as an emergency repair. The locks on my door were loose and appeared to have been tampered with. I think people had been trying to break into my home, and there were many times, as I've described, that various people, including child protection and police, bashed on my door, and this had been going on since I'd moved in. And I think the accumulation of all the bashing had damaged my door. It wasn't just one incident, it was the accumulation of all the bashing that had damaged my door over time. It was everything. And it was important that I had a good, strong door to keep me safe from the respondent and the other people who kept trying to get into my home. Anyway, I had emailed this maintenance request, and believe it or not, they actually emailed me back saying that I had to pay for the repair myself. I couldn't believe it, and I was really shocked and really angry, and I didn't know what to do or why they thought they could get away with telling me that I had to pay for my own repairs on the door. If you look at this email, which I've edited for privacy, you can see that they say a charge will be applied for any repair, which is obviously cruel. I mean, after everything else I already had to pay for because of the respondent and court, there was no way I could afford to pay for the door. And I shouldn't have been asked to pay for it because I was a tenant who rents and repairs are included in my rent. But there always seemed to be some people who dumped expenses on me, and I could never work out how they got away with it when I knew that other people weren't expected to pay for their repairs. Anyway, the email also said that a payment plan could be negotiated with the Office of Housing, which was another thing that really got me. I would be in debt to the Department of Housing if I did that, and that would have been bizarre and cruel. Even in normal circumstances, it would have been cruel, but in my case, even more so. I felt completely powerless and completely defeated. And I had felt that way 100 times over in the time that I had been living in the block. Anyone would have thought that there was some kind of conspiracy to keep me poor and keep me in danger. Why was it that over and over again I was lumbered with expenses that I shouldn't have to pay? And why was it that I had to tolerate the idea of not having a lockable door? They would have known that not being able to lock my door made me unsafe. They would have known that I could not afford to pay for my own repairs, as I was just a single mum living in government housing. So why were they doing this to me? There was no way that I could afford to repair the door, and nothing I could do to make them repair it. As you can see here, I emailed back and I said that I would like to cancel the request for maintenance. And they actually responded saying they would not raise a request for maintenance, which I thought was terrible, but it's what they did. So the person who I was communicating with at the department was told that my door needed to be repaired and knew that I cancelled the request after being told that I had to pay for it. And they were happy to allow me to live in an unsafe home. And I don't know what to say to convey just how serious that was. I was made to feel unsafe in my home in so many different ways over the time that I had lived in government housing. Whether it was the respondent assaulting me, or my property being damaged, or the police arguing with me or refusing to assist me, or child protection workers bashing on my door and yelling at me, or any of the other things that happened to me. The only thing I knew was that it felt like people wanted to impoverish me by dumping expenses on me, and those same people wanted to make sure that I was in danger and that I was unable to protect myself from danger. But I didn't know why.